Over here at the chef's tent, we have a really exciting recipe we're about to do. This is one of the most exciting of the day. And that's because of the chef who has come here all the way from California. And Chef Flynn McGarry is with us today. I met Flynn at the Modernist Cuisine, a very modern experimental kitchen. Yeah. And believe it or not, that was maybe a year and a half ago. And so as you can see, he's not over 21 yet, but he already has a very successful career as a chef. Let me ask you, Flynn, about how it got started and what kind of cooking you do.
Well, it started 4 years ago. My mom wasn't the most, she wasn't the best cook, and she didn't enjoy it very much. So I sort of took it upon myself to start cooking. And then I discovered cookbooks in restaurants where they were really doing interesting things with food, and it sort of drew me in, and how it could be more than just sustenance, and it can be interesting and artistic. So that was kind of how I started cooking. And then it's, like you said, my food, it's fine dining, which is, the whole thing of this is to show how you can do healthy food easily, but I'm going to try to show a different perspective where it's a little bit more difficult, but in the end, it tastes just as good, and it may not be an everyday snack, but when you do make it, it's amazing. So it's, yeah, pretty much that.
Thank you. So when he says it's amazing, I tell you how amazing it was that being invited or coming to his house for dinner was one of the hottest tickets in Los Angeles. So you had CEOs, CFOs, every kind of celebrity trying to get in, because what Flynn does is kind of a mixture of modernist, or what might be called sometimes molecular gastronomy, but basically he uses science as a way to cook food and prepare food so that it's at its best, it's most delicious, most beautiful, and also very intriguing. So, but what's interesting is that this could not have happened even, I think, 10 years ago, because as Flynn told me, a lot of what he learned on the internet. So there's cookbooks, but even so, now you can see, you go to the internet, you see a video of exactly how to prepare things. So what would you say, Flynn, is the percentage? How much did you learn from books and how much from the internet?
I'd say it was, the internet was a good 30% of it, books another probably 20, and then also the experience of working in different restaurants. You learn a lot from just working in a very fast environment, yet learning how to do things fast but efficiently, and different techniques. And that's kind of what I showcase in my food.
Yeah, and since that time, he has worked in some of the best restaurants and kitchens in America. So, well, let's move things along, because I think people look like they're starting to get hungry. What are you going to make today?
Today we're going to make it's farro, which is it's a whole grain. It's an Italian whole grain. If you can't find farro, which it's not the most easily accessible thing, you can use brown rice or any kind of whole, it's a very healthy whole grain, and not a lot of people really know how to use it, and it's delicious. So I figured to, it's already on, just to show you guys a different ingredient and a different way to make it.
Can I go ahead and put it in here?
Yeah, you can go.
Okay.
And then it's with, we have some roasted carrots that it's going to go with, and it also has pistachios, which we just chopped up in a food processor. There are tangerines, which we cut into thirds after we segmented them. Pickled onions, which is easier than it sounds. It's just vinegar, sugar, and water that you boil, and you pour it over chopped onions. Then we have some watercress and some different herbs. And if you can't find the herbs, if you can't find anything, you can just go down to the basic ingredients and even make it just into a salad. Like, we're going to plate this fancy, which is what I like to do when I do my dinners. It's very intricate plating with tweezers, but if you don't want to do that, you can obviously just mix it up in a bowl, and it'll taste just as good.
Now I'm intrigued by the onions. So you put the sugar and vinegar together, and then how long do you have to cook the onions for?
You just boil the sugar and vinegar, and then the sugar, vinegar, and water, and then you just pour it over the onions and just let it sit.
I see. Okay, that's pretty easy.
And then do you want to start cutting the carrots?
Yes. Okay, so, and I noticed these carrots are a little different. Can you tell us about these carrots?
These are multicolored carrots. If you can't get them, they taste almost the same as regular carrots, but they just look cooler, I guess. And they just add, like I said, a different ingredient that not a lot of people know about, that a carrot can be purple. And so we're just gonna add the pistachios, like two little, almost a C shape, but if the wind is gonna stop, then this would be easier. And then we'll grab the tweezers and put a couple pieces of And with the carrots, we just simply roasted them in olive oil with some salt. And what happens when you roast a carrot is the cell structure breaks down and it releases sugars in the carrot itself that you wouldn't be able to taste if the cell wall was still there. So it tastes like a sweet potato, sort of.
Very colorful, and the heat sort of brings the color up a little bit too. It
Yeah.
seems more vibrant. So what percentage of onions would you say would you put on this salad? It looks like you're just putting a small,
It's
like
just
nickel size.
It's a small amount, and I put the onions on because in all of my dishes I like to have it very balanced in the textures and the acidity and the sugar and the bitterness, and we're just adding the onions to add the acidity that's needed in this dish, because without it would just it'd fall short. It would just be kind of bland. And if you have all the different tastes in a dish, that's how you make a really good dish, is to have the salt right, to have the sugar right, to have the acid right. If you need bitterness, the right amount.
So when you say sugar, you mean the natural sweetness of the clementines there?
Yes, yeah, that, and the carrots are also sweet by the natural sugarness. It's healthy sugar. So that sugar can be good for you. The other sugar can be bad for you.
Smells good. The aromas are so great that what kind of vinegar do you use in your vinaigrette?
We use a red wine vinegar.
Oh wow.
Red
really
wine
nice.
vinegar. And it's we also use red wine vinegar in the onions just to keep the color of the red onion. And here we are adding some baby greens, and if you can't find these, you can just substitute pretty much any green. It's just to add a little bit of freshness to the dish, because a lot of it's cooked, and we also need greens, and it just I like to put green garnishes on pretty much every dish.
Oh yeah, these are very special greens.
These were grown in the White House garden.
Sourced by the White House pastry chef. Each leaf was particularly chosen for its flavor and color.
And then the carrot tops, which a lot of people don't really know you can eat. It tastes like a carrot if it was an herb.
Wow.
And it adds more carrot flavor that you wouldn't get from an actual carrot, because it has different bitter notes that carrots are mostly just sweet, and all of the herbs are flying away. Wait, I think it's that way that it's coming from.
That way? I'm a multitasker. Yeah, it's really looking cool.
And then so with the carrots, we're just gonna throw them in different places around these sides.
Can you see it through the mirror there? Is it all right? Yeah.
And then we'll just finish it with some oregano, which is, it's just for, it adds another layer of flavor that you kind of need in the dish. All of my dishes, I go through a way, I test all of them multiple times just to figure out the right proportions, the right dish. So opposed to just putting it all on a plate, there's a lot of thinking that goes behind each dish that I make.
So when you would have those dinners and these famous people would come to your house, you were testing those recipes before you served
at least a month. Well, we do one menu each season. So for the spring menu, we start testing it a month ahead of time, and it's a long process, and it's definitely needed, because once we can test them, we can weigh everything out to get the proportions right and the flavors right, and it's just most restaurants do test dishes if they're lucky to have the resources to, and the amount of people and the time, but
And I notice you're tasting things as you go along. Do you feel that's an important part of cooking each step of the way?
It's very important. I test I test all of my dishes as I'm cooking them, because if you taste every component and they're all done correctly, then the final dish will taste right. If everything's seasoned right and has the right amount of sugar, and like I said, everything in cooking like this and any cooking it's all about balance. If the dish is balanced, it's going to taste better than a dish that's too rich, or a dish that's too sweet, or a dish that's too if it's just a salad, it's just going to taste like greens. But if you add a creamy component or something that's rich, it'll add another layer and another layer and another layer, and on and on and on. And so,
but all that has to be in balance. So you're testing along the way.
Yes.
I see you have some spinach leaves. It looks like sorrel.
On the greens, we have some spinach. We have some sorrel. We have
look like baby parsley.
Baby parsley,
marjoram,
and then we're gonna put some watercress or upland cress on the on top. And like I said, this takes a while to plate each dish, so at home you might just want to mix it up in a salad, and it'll taste just as good, and it'll look good still, but it just won't really look the same.
Well, how much of this could you plate in advance, sort of, if you were, like, could you do the pistachios and the tangerines?
When we did when we had this on the menu at the pop-ups, we would plate the edge all ahead of time, and then right when the order came in that the food needs to go out, we just put the far on and the greens, and then walk it. So it's a matter of planning ahead if you were going to do this for a lot of people. But if you're just going to do it for a couple people, you could plate it like this and
get through it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the hardest thing in the world.
Wow.
And you don't need the tweezers. Those are not a necessity.
But it just helps.
Yes.
Helps to get things where you want it. No, that's a really, really beautiful dish.
Thank you. It's
thank you.
Sort of. Oh.
Absolutely. Gorgeous. Beautiful.
Thank you. It's supposed to sort of. It's a way to eat it where if you take everything in, you're gonna get every single bite is gonna taste different. So that's why I do it like this. So if you get a bite with the pistachio and the and the tangerine, it's gonna taste one way. If you just get the carrot with it, it's gonna taste another way. If you get the just the pistachio with it, it's gonna taste a different way. So as you're eating one plate of food, every single bite you get is completely different.
So you're never getting bored with what you're having.
No, exactly. Which is what I strive to do.
That's a beautiful dish.
Not get bored.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Flynn. That's a beautiful job.